I love the look of the Converse All-Star. Honestly, I don't think there's any better shoe or any better sneaker to go with a pair of Selvedge denim jeans than a pair of Cons. I mean, they also go with chinos, they go with fatigues. They're just a very, very versatile shoe. But Converse, it pains me to say it, but you just burned me too many times. You disintegrate under pressure, you fall apart with strain, and as soon as I throw you in the washing machine to spruce you up a little bit, yeah, you disintegrate into your constituent parts. It's super sad because we've had some really good times together, but I've moved on. And guys, you should move on too. So here are 5 canvas kicks that look like Converse, but are actually going to last the distance. All of these trainers, and Cons as well, they've all got a couple of things in common. They evolved from military PT wear from, I think, around about the 50s, maybe a little bit earlier actually, and they've all got vulcanized soles, apart from the Cons, and that's the important thing here, that's the essential part. So, the military bit. Obviously these things aren't exactly going to be rolled out in the battlefield, but the soldiers did need something to do their PT, their physical training in. So these things had to be tough as hell and mass-produced pretty cheaply. Microphone just fell off. Anyway, so tough as hell, mass-produced pretty cheaply. Canvas is pretty cheap, and the vulcanized rubber sole that took care of these things being pretty durable. And it's this vulcanization that just makes these trainers, the ones that we're going to get to in a second, that's what makes them just so good in my eyes. Instead of the soles, the rubber soles, being glued to the uppers like you'll find in Cons and Vans and I think in most trainers nowadays, the rubber is actually bonded onto the canvas upper. It's like melted into the material, so it makes them permanent friends. And so when these things get a little bit grubby, as they inevitably will, they just go straight in the washing machine and they don't fall apart. I mean, if you've ever tried washing a pair of Converse, or I think any other like just run-of-the-mill modern trainer, you're gonna know that like the glue just seems to dissolve, just seems to melt away if you wash them much over like 10 degrees. And yeah, they just literally come out in pieces. I've had these Nevestas for years, and they have gone in the wash countless times. And they come out looking as fresh as can be expected, and every single time they come out in one piece. That's including when I wash them around about 60 degrees. So suffice it to say, vulcanization, it's your friend. So, right, okay, canvas upper, vulcanized sole, that's what we're all about. And in no particular order, let's get to the trainers that have got the canvas uppers and the vulcanized sole. First up, we've got PRAS, or PRAS, or I don't know which one it is, I think it's PRAS. They have a couple of options that are along the same lines. We have the shell cap and we have the grid deck. For me, I think it has to be the shell cap. I like both, but the shell cap just swings it simply because they've got this reinforced toe. I mean, we're all about these things lasting, right? And we all know that one guy with his toe through the end of his trainers, it's just really not a good look. So anything we can do to avoid that, and this reinforcement will, anything we can do to avoid that would be great. As I said just a second ago, these are based on military issue from back in the day. And I think these ones are based on naval footwear. So you've got that canvas upper, you've got that non-slip rubber sole, it's been vulcanized to that canvas upper. There's really solid metal eyelets, and that's something is important to watch out for. There's really good laces with these. This is something also very important, and these have been made in Japan. Next up, we have the deck shoes from the Real McCoys. Now, I've got a feeling I'm going to be repeating myself quite a lot in this list. 100% canvas upper, vulcanized rubber sole, solid metal eyelets, great laces, made in Japan. These are just a little bit more refined than the PRAS. At least the toe cap. The toe cap makes them look a little bit more refined. And as you can imagine, everything from the Real McCoys, they are a stitch for stitch repro of whatever it was they were based on, just made a whole lot better. There's also a high top version that looks a little bit more aggressive. It's just got this like big grill across the front. I like it for sure, but I think for me personally, it would be the low top that I'd go for. Simply because I reach for sneakers in the hotter weather. The rest of the time I'm wearing boots. And I think just the low top's more practical for that. These might work for guys that are wearing sneakers all year round. I mean, it depends on climate for sure, but I think that these are going to transition well from like early spring throughout the summer to the autumn kind of times. Maybe in the winter when it's really wet, they're not that great, but then you should be reaching for the boots anyway. Unfortunately, these are a little bit hard to find at the minute, but they are out there if you're really looking for them. Third up, we've got shoes like Pottery. Now, let's just get this out of the way. So, 100% canvas upper, vulcanized rubber sole, solid metal eyelets, great laces, made in Japan. But, okay, shoes like Pottery. It's a strange name, but it makes sense. Just let me explain. The canvas upper is sewn together, then it's glued onto the sole, and then a tape, like a natural rubber tape, is run around the outside of the sole between the canvas upper and the outsole. So far so good, so far standard practice. Once all this has been done, off they go into a kiln for 70 minutes or so, and all of these things really get to know each other very, very well. They're bonded together. The natural rubber, the sulfur reacts somehow, science, sulfur reacts and returns the rubber to its natural state, making it very, very supple, very flexible, just making a very comfortable outsole. This is quite similar to how Japanese pottery is made, hence the name, shoes like Pottery. The trainers themselves, the style of them, the look of them, they strike a really nostalgic chord for me. Somehow these feel the closest to the old school skate shoes that I was kicking around in the 80s. There's a low top version, there's a high top version, and they come in some really solid colorways as well. For me, it's got to be just this crisp white one. I just think it looks brilliant. I mean, totally impractical, but I think it just looks amazing. For number 4, we're gonna go for these warehouse flyers. And yep, you guessed it, 100% canvas upper, vulcanized rubber sole, solid metal eyelets, solid metal eyelets, great laces made in Taiwan. Apparently there's only 2 factories in Japan that can make these kind of vulcanized trainers. And so I guess they're pretty busy with everything. So Warehouse had to look elsewhere. But there still are amazing quality. I should have said this before, like I've actually had my hands on all of these trainers, and so that's why I'm happy to recommend them. And this is no different. These are just, they're funky. They're good fun. They're the closest ones to what I'd say is like a, is this the right way to say it? Like a modern day old school skate shoe? Yeah, I mean, just with that like red band around the top and like the funky colorways that go along with them, I really like them. I find them super good fun. Another really good thing about these is that, well, it probably speaks to the fact they're from Warehouse, and Warehouse are just like the gods of doing like really, really genuine looking washes. But anyway, the canvas has been over dyed, which means that it's gonna fade down. It's gonna sort of bleach out when you're sort of out and about kicking around in them, when they're in the sun. So it's just gonna achieve that sort of really old school sort of muted look. So it's gonna start off with this like bright shiny yellow. That's gonna mute down beautifully over time. And I think that's just gonna work very nicely with a pair of Selvedge denim jeans. I mean, these are just an all-round beautiful shoe. And I'd say out of all the shoes on this list, these might be the best option for the guy that's really looking for a better option to a pair of Converse. They've got that look, they've got that feel of a skate shoe, and not one that's maybe been influenced by sort of the military shoes, or one that's sort of the missing link between the military shoes and the skate shoes, like the shoes like Pottery might be. Okay, for our last pick, we are going to the opposite extreme, at least the opposite extreme you can get with a pair of canvas kicks that have been vulcanized to a rubber sole. Anyway, so we've had the Warehouses that I think are a modern version of an old school skate shoe. Anyway, we've gone from that to the US Rubber Company with their military low top. And it was the US Rubber Company that started this whole thing off. The US Rubber Company was formed in 1892 in the US, I presume. Yeah, I guess so. But anyway, the US Rubber Company was formed in 1892, and then during the First World War, they were commissioned to uniform? I didn't know uniform was actually a verb, but anyway, they were commissioned to uniform the US forces for their PT gear. And that's what sort of got this whole ball rolling on this style of shoe. We can just see with this military low top, this model that we're talking about just now, with that sort of rubberized sole, with that style of tread in the bottom, with the construction of the upper. You can see that this is reflected through all of the trainers that we've looked at today, and I think most of trainers through all of time. Now, given this pair in particular, given that it's the OG, of course you're going to get that 100% canvas upper, you're going to get that vulcanized rubber sole, you're going to get the solid metal eyelets and great laces. And even though I've got no idea how they came to be made in Europe with the US moniker, they're still a really fantastically well-made pair of trainers. I love them. They're clean, they're crisp, and they're iconic. And they're vegan friendly if that's your steez. Okay, so that was my top 5 choices for alternatives to Converse. These are my choices in particular because I've actually had my hands on all of these trainers and I can attest to the quality. A shout out to these brands here, which they were recommended to me when I gave a shout out for suggestions on the Instagram. And yeah, these brands here, they seem to be really, really good and you guys seem to be loving them, so they're definitely worth checking out. But guys, I'd be very, very curious to hear your recommendations and your experiences. I mean, just like drop me a line in the comments below. I think together we can put together definitive lists when it comes to all of these top 5 things, because nobody can have experience with everything, and so your input on this is like very, very important for just like that community at large that's interested in good quality alternatives to things or good quality options for things. And yeah, guys, you know, I have to ask this, you know, as you're on your way down to leave your recommendations, to give your input, you're going to be passing that subscribe button, you're going to be passing that like button. If you have liked this video, it'd be amazing if you give it a thumbs up. It helps out the channel. If you're not already, consider hitting that subscribe button right next to the subscribe button. There's the bell notification icon. That way you're going to get notified whenever I drop another video. And yeah, that just leaves me to say, as always guys, I hope everyone is happy and healthy out there. Hope you're taking care of yourselves, I hope you're taking care of each other, and I'm going to see you in the next video. Okay, but 1 second. Like, I honestly couldn't let this video go without an honorable mention to Novestas. These are my personal choice when it comes to canvas kicks that have been vulcanized, that are really, really good quality, and that seemingly last forever. The only reason I didn't put these on the list is they seem to be, as far as I can tell, quite hard to get in the US and the UK, and I wanted to give recommendations that are quite readily available all over the globe. So yeah, I don't quite know why Novestas haven't made it to the other side of the pond yet, but they're amazing. They are, yeah, 100% canvas, vulcanized rubber sole, great quality metal eyelets, great quality laces, made in Slovakia, I believe. And yeah, so the Czech Republic and Slovakia have got a long history of footwear manufacture, of shoemaking. And it was Slovakia, somewhere in Slovakia, that made all of the trainers for the Russian military. So you can really, like, back in the day, like the Red Army days, is that the Red Army days? Anyway, the USSR Army, Slovakia was making a lot of the footwear for them, so you can really believe that they know what they're doing in making really tough footwear. And yeah, Novesta just started that up again a few years ago, and I really, if you can get your hands on these, I just hit myself in the head with my own shoe. If you can get your hands on these, I can really recommend them.